Conor Mulvanerton thought he was exhausted because he was working early shifts, trying to break into advertising and pushing through the kind of schedule many people in their 20s tell themselves is normal. But the tiredness did not lift. According to People, the New Jersey native was drinking large amounts of caffeine during early Starbucks shifts and could still go home and fall asleep afterward. By November 2024, that exhaustion was part of a much larger diagnosis: Stage II Hodgkin lymphoma. The latest update is that Conor, now 26, is speaking publicly about the symptoms he once explained away. His story is being revisited because it shows how easy it can be to dismiss fatigue, night sweats, and swollen lymph nodes when life is already stressful. This does not mean fatigue automatically means cancer. Medical sources note that the same symptoms can be caused by many conditions, but the National Cancer Institute lists swollen lymph nodes, fever, drenching night sweats, weight loss, and fatigue among signs that can appear with Hodgkin lymphoma when they do not go away. The timeline began in spring 2024. Conor was working morning shifts as a barista, waking before dawn, and applying for jobs after graduating from college. Looking back, he told People that the exhaustion following him through that period was one of the earliest signs something was wrong. During the summer, another symptom appeared. He began waking up drenched in sweat, but at first he and his family connected it to the heat, the season, and the temperature inside the house. For verified health and entertainment updates without the rumors, subscribe to Startline Entertainment. In July 2024, Conor finally landed a temporary corporate advertising job in New York City after 2 difficult years of searching. That should have marked the beginning of a new chapter. Instead, not long after starting that role, he began experiencing health problems that pushed the situation beyond ordinary exhaustion. An ultrasound eventually showed severely swollen lymph nodes, something he said he had not paid attention to before the diagnosis. On November 14, 2024, Conor learned he had Stage II Hodgkin lymphoma. The diagnosis was serious, but it also came with a complicated kind of reassurance. Hodgkin lymphoma is often considered highly treatable, especially compared with many other cancers. SEER data from the National Cancer Institute shows strong 5-year relative survival rates for Hodgkin lymphoma, including 95.4% for Stage II cases in the cited dataset. Still, survival statistics describe groups of patients, not one person's guaranteed outcome. At first, Conor's early chemotherapy results looked promising. People reported that after 4 rounds, the outlook appeared encouraging. But after he completed 12 rounds, another PET scan changed the direction of his treatment. The cancer had not resolved the way everyone had hoped, and Conor later transferred his care to Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City. That is where the story moves from a standard diagnosis timeline into a more difficult treatment phase. Conor underwent additional chemotherapy and an autologous stem cell transplant in September 2025. In an autologous transplant, a patient's own stem cells are collected, frozen, and later returned after high-dose chemotherapy. The American Cancer Society says this approach is commonly used for hard-to-treat Hodgkin lymphoma, including cases that do not go away completely after chemotherapy or come back after treatment. People reported that support from friends and family became a major part of how Conor got through that period. Before the stem cell transplant, friends gathered handwritten letters from people across different parts of his life. He also pointed to music, especially Lord and Tame Impala, as something that gave him a future moment to hold on to while he was going through treatment. The clearest confirmed update came in December 2025, when Conor's first post-transplant PET scan showed no signs of cancer. Since then, he has been rebuilding his strength, running, changing daily habits, and focusing on staying cancer-free. People also reported that another scan was approaching in June, and Conor remained hopeful about what comes next. What remains important is the balance of the story. Conor's symptoms were real, but they were also easy to rationalize. Exhaustion looked like work. Night sweats looked like summer. Swollen lymph nodes were something he had not even been focused on. The lesson is not to panic over every tired week. The lesson is to pay attention when symptoms persist, combine, or feel different from your normal baseline. For now, Conor's story stands as a verified health timeline about a young man who thought he was simply pushing through life, only to learn his body had been warning him for months. His current public focus is recovery, long-term health, and using what happened to him to encourage others not to ignore symptoms that do not go away.